I have thousands of people who have signed up for my Get Me Out of Here flowchart, and you really want to move abroad, but most of you are not action takers. And that is a real problem because you can't actually get anything done unless you begin taking steps. Now, I have a lot of ponderings about why you might not be taking action on your desire to move abroad. And so I want to talk about what those things are today, so maybe I can help get you unstuck. I mean, this was a 20-year dream of mine. For years, I thought, oh, that would be nice. Too bad that it won't work for my family. I have kids with developmental disabilities. I have a lot of high needs things going on with 5 kids. So I had this belief that families like mine did not do this, did not move abroad, especially if we didn't have like a company corporate transfer. I think one of the really underrated things that keeps people from moving ahead is you easily get frozen. And the things that tend to freeze people who are considering moving abroad, maybe you're looking into a country and you're thinking, maybe that's really possible for me. And then a headline hits about that country. So an example of this would be the cartel stuff in Mexico. Maybe you're like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to move to Mexico. And then this big headline hits and it stops you. And then you were making progress, and then you're like, oh, we have to throw out that plan completely. Then you're back to square one, and maybe you find a different country in a different place, and you're making your plans, and then all of a sudden another big headline hits, and you're like, oh, well, that country won't work because XYZ. Countries are big, and the experience that people have from place to place is wildly varied. The thing that is true about actually making progress toward a goal is that those speed bumps, those interruptions are going to come up. And you're going to be cruising along and you're thinking maybe this is a viable path, and then you hit a speed bump. And then what you do when you hit the speed bump is the make it or break it skill. And that skill is shaking it off, accelerating again, and keep on moving toward your goal. Yes, sometimes you have to pivot. In our experience, we had to pivot because we thought we were moving abroad to Ireland with a company transfer, and we were not. I'm Andy. I help people move to Europe. I moved abroad in 2019 with my family of 7, and I am well familiar with pivots and what actually keeps people from finally making the jump and launching abroad. The first thing is being too affected by the news. It's really important to ground yourself in your goal and to understand your real reasons why, your deepest reasons why, so that you can be grounded in your decision to move abroad and you're not shaken up by news headlines and then get totally derailed and freeze. Another thing that holds people up is just not understanding possibility. If you're going to move abroad, you do need to understand, is this actually possible for me? So this is a 2-parter. First, there's the piece of mindset when you say, is it possible for us to move abroad? And your mind is replying to you, nope, probably not. Not for us, not for our kind of family, not because XYZ. If you are having that inner monologue, that is not going to allow you to see the actual possibilities, right? Before we started really digging in and exploring our actual possibilities, which ended up with us not going to Ireland, but ended up with us going first to do a pet sit in Nova Scotia, because our goal wasn't specifically living in Ireland. It was living abroad. So that allowed us to be flexible with how we achieved our goal. But before that, I was just like, no, not possible for us. So for me, when I began asking the question, how could this be possible for us? That's when things began to change. That is when I began to see the possibilities instead of assuming that there were no possibilities. So that's part one of the possibility category. Part two of the possibility category is this. You need some source of solid information, real life information that's not going to take you down this never-ending research rabbit hole, so that you have facts about what could actually be possible for you. That is why I created the Get Me Out of Here bundle. It includes my workshop. It includes my why map to help you really ground yourself in the deeper reasons, not just the surface level reasons of why you want to go, because that will keep you moving forward when you hit those speed bumps. Also, there are several other things in the bundle, so you can look in my description. If you want to know if this is actually possible, get the bundle. It is extremely affordably priced, and it will help you know, yes or no, is this possible for my family? Somebody who did the workshop said it was extremely helpful in moving us toward a concrete decision to leave and start taking steps toward that goal. So the bundle is what you need not only to see if it's possible, but it's what you need to actually get unstuck and start taking action. Lastly, I just want to talk about being an action taker. I have learned to be an action taker through this process of moving abroad, and that has served me in a lot of areas. I didn't know that it was a strength of mine, this activator strength, and I am trying to use that for you and for your benefit to push you out the door if you want to go. I am here to help you take action. And so the bundle will help you take action, but also there has to be that inner drive. There has to be that inner drive, and that's why knowing your why and understanding deeply what is your motivation, like you do need that to take action. And I am well familiar with not taking action because of overwhelm. I have ADHD. I definitely get this like big, dark, stressful cloud about things that just feel too darn overwhelming to do. And I put them off and I put them off and I put them off. And so what I'm going to say is try to take some tiny actions. You don't have to figure out your 10-year plan. You don't need to figure out everything that you need to know about even what country you're going to. Right now, taking action means getting the bundle, listening to YouTube videos about this topic, and hearing how a family of 7 without a corporate transfer managed to move abroad. For me, I had to expose myself to what people were doing, to the opportunities out there to help me believe that maybe it was possible. And so even exposing yourself to the topic, even making time to absorb ideas about moving abroad, that is taking action. Researching can feel like action. Researching is action up to a point, but researching, especially for those of you who have wanted to move abroad for many, many years and you have not yet done it, you may be stuck in research mode. And that has to do with feeling safe. You want to feel safe. Listen, friend, nothing in the world feels really safe right now, especially if you're an American. I understand you do not feel safe. My oldest child still lives in America, and it doesn't feel safe. The world doesn't feel safe right now. However, would you rather let other people's decisions and systemic issues and the whims of people in charge be the thing that makes you feel unsafe? Or do you want to take some actions of your own toward the life that you want to have? And yes, it feels scary. You're going to be scared either way, to be honest. I feel like being alive right now means being scared. So your choice is, am I going to be scared taking action toward the life I want? Or am I going to be scared just feeling completely at the whims of everything else? And it might be both. It might be both. But taking actions that scare you are the way that you build confidence. And they are the path to getting where you want to go rather than remaining frozen in an endless research spiral. I have absolute compassion and empathy for how complex this feels. And yet, this is your life. It is not waiting for you. Time is ticking on. It is not waiting for you to feel braver. Taking action while you feel scared is part of living, and it's part of getting where you want to go. So, this is my challenging message for you. If you are someone who feels stuck and has this long-term dream but isn't actually moving toward the dream, I want something different for you. I want to inspire you to dare to truly live. I'm in the middle of my series, 44 Ways I Built a Life That Doesn't Break Me. Today, the way that I built a life that doesn't break me is I took action. I took action moving abroad by starting a career as a virtual assistant, by taking courses to help me understand how to more cheaply travel. I took actions in the direction of my dreams, and that is why my life no longer makes me feel like I'm drowning like it did in America. I would love to have you back here tomorrow for the next way that living abroad has been healing for me and helped me have a life that doesn't break me.